Welcome to the Malvern Retreat House and to our daily reflection. Usually the daily reflection is done by one person. We wanted to do something different. I'm Father Jim, Mike is here, and also Juan. And the three of us want to just share some things that are going on in our lives. This past week, the church and the world celebrated the 100th anniversary of the birth of St. John Paul II. And St. John Paul II is kind of famous for a lot of things, but one of them is this phrase, the springtime of the church. And as we were moving toward the year 2000, the 2000th anniversary of the birth of Jesus, Pope John Paul II started talking about a springtime of hope, and that the church was moving into a time of expectation and excitement and wonder and life. Now, we are in springtime right now, and out at the Malvern Retreat House, the springtime is one of the most beautiful seasons. And we know that the coronavirus is kind of weighing heavy on us, but we also know that we're moving from the red stage to the yellow stage, and then we're moving into the green stage, and there's a sense of hope and relief that's in the air. So we want to just play around with this idea of springtime and share with you some of our feelings and observations and what's going on in our lives. So let's just go for it.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Juan Guerra. I work here with Michael and Jim, and I just started here in February, late January, and very excited about working at Malvern, and we had started on retreats, things were moving along, and this weird news from China started coming out, and next thing you know, we're hearing that things are getting more serious, and then suddenly the reality hit, pandemic level, shutdowns, and the retreat house had to suspend all retreats. So my life, like all of ours and like all of yours, came to not to a halt, but to a change. And so we're all dealing with the new situation, and what started out as a kind of exciting thing, almost like where we're home, we're spending some more time with our families, slowly started to become a little bit more and more difficult. And I think now with the nicer weather, with the springtime, we're tired of the lockdown. So
We sure are.
There's no doubt, and I mean, as human beings, we're not meant to live in lockdown. We are very social. All of us are doing our part, and we thank all those who are going above and beyond, the first responders and the grocery store workers and all those. But with that said, people are getting weary, and they want to go out. And certainly, it's springtime's a time to get out there, and it's new life, and we're all just sort of waiting for that new life to spring. And it's a put on hold right now. But I think the biggest impact that this has had on me is that certainly working most of the time from home. But the biggest impact is missing the social interaction, and not just for fun things. I mean, everybody knows I make no problems. I'm in recovery, and it's interesting. You're used to going to meetings, and you can't get to a meeting, but they're doing it with Zoom. So, I'm thankful in all this that we have this technology to keep us connected, because one of the things that, whether it's your Bible study or whatever, you're missing that connection. So you're able to stream Mass and go to Mass, you're able to stream and go to a meeting. So that's been wonderful, and it's been a godsend, and it's always, there's always that, the Lord always finds a way to help us get through whatever it is.
Yeah. One of the things that I miss living here at the retreat house is on a Friday night, you start to see the cars coming in, and it really is a beautiful thing. It's just a long line of cars, sometime around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they start coming in and they register, and then they're going to their rooms. And I always go down to the dining room on a Friday night to greet everybody with the ministry team and Mark. It's just really, really wonderful to see so many people in person. And I miss that. And then I usually take the Mass on Sunday morning all the retreatants are there, and it's a wonderful experience. But I know it's coming back soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we may not have as 100%. It may be
Right.
limited,
Right.
25%, 50%, 75% capacity. All that depends on the state and the county. But I can't wait till people start coming back.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talking about this idea of a new birth and a new springtime, leading up to this pandemic. Sometimes we sort of glamorize that time or make it ideal and thinking, oh, it was great, we could go anywhere, we could go visit our friends and everything. But also our country was involved in a lot of turmoil, and our church has been involved in a lot of turmoil over the last 10, 20 years. And we were commenting on this idea, Pope John Paul said, we're entering into a springtime, and I'd scratch my head and think, it doesn't feel like a springtime.
Yeah.
But what precedes the spring, right? And the winter and the cold and the gray. And this, in a weird sort of sense, this pandemic has been a sort of a reboot. So we live in the shadow of a church. We live near here in Paoli, and our local church, we can actually see it from our window. And to see that church, but to see it closed has been really, really difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And, like most people, we take things for granted. And just being able to go to confession on a Saturday, obviously to go to Mass on Sunday, or to be able to even go to daily Mass, suddenly it's shut down, and suddenly we're deprived of the Eucharist. And maybe one of the good things about this experience is that once things begin to reopen, it's given me, and probably a lot of us, a newfound appreciation of your ministry and of being able to receive the sacrament.
Yes. Well, one of the things that I'm aware of is what we take for granted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my Lord, when you look back, when so many things are removed, all those things we took for granted, and everybody's talking about going out into the new normal.
Yeah.
And but I think there's some things that hopefully we won't lose as we move into the new normal, whatever that looks like. So all the things that we take for granted, hopefully we can appreciate them in a ways that we haven't before.
Yeah, and it is amazing, the things that we thought we had to do.
Oh yeah,
Or the amount of time that we spent doing things, be it going out to dinner or shopping or whatever it is, the things that all of a sudden you're not able to do, and you start to realize, don't get me wrong, I like to go out to dinner, but some of the things that you were doing, you realize they really weren't that important. It's sort of been, as Juan was saying, a spring, a reset to sort of reprioritize things. Is that really important that I do that? I'm also seeing, I think that there are, just based on the calls that we're getting from people that the retreats have been canceled, how much Malvern Retreat House means to these people.
Oh yeah.
And it's amazing some of the stories that we're getting. The guy who sent a handwritten letter, which in today's world is pretty, handwritten letter talking about how much he loved Malvern. He gave a nice donation along with it, but it was all about the times that he spends with his dad on retreat. And that is their time, and that quiet time with the Lord that he can reboot, and how much he misses that, and how much the thought of Malvern not being here or not being able to get to Malvern has really moved. Not that it wasn't a priority, but all of a sudden this is very important. I need to move that up to, rather than the golf weekend, I got to make sure I get my retreat in.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to the day where we are preparing. We've been doing these massive cleanings and paint areas, and in a way it has been an opportunity for us to look at the place and say, you know what, it's needed a little sprucing up, and it's gotten that.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because for you who are watching this, we are starting to ramp up. I mean, there's just sitting here, to be honest, the three of us, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, we're getting excited about opening up Malvern again. We don't know the details yet. It depends on Governor Wolf, and it depends on the phases, from red to yellow to green. But we know it's coming, and we're going to be here for all of you when you come back. We're going to make sure that you have a great experience whenever you come here to Malvern. So this spring is here, and we're just really happy about it.
And it's going to be wonderful, and I think that I'm excited. You can feel it building.
Yeah, sure.
You can feel it building. You can hear the ground wanting to welcome people back. All of a sudden, things.
You're getting all mystical.
I know. No, seriously. So, you know, you drive down the driveway and it's blooming now.
Yeah.
The pandemic came, there weren't any leaves on the tree. It was stark.
That's right.
And now it's coming back to life, and that's what's happening here. We have been fortunate to be able to do these type of videos, and we've, you know, have mass, and we have some other things, retreats, virtual retreats that we're doing that you'll be getting some information on. And it's been great to keep people connected. But I just believe that there is a pent-up, I don't want to say anxiety, eagerness for people to come back and walk these grounds and to just, you know, I like to call the driveway Valiant Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's amazing when people come in, they all talk about it.
Yeah.
They begin to decompress as soon as they turn on the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be open, and it's going to be fantastic, and I'm just so excited to welcome everybody back.
And you know, one thing to keep in mind is the retreat house and the grounds are open,
Right.
even if we're not providing retreats and programs and events. You feel free to come anytime you want, park a car and walk around, so take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything before we sign off on? Any other things?
Just looking forward to seeing all of you back here and you know, being able to share what we're experiencing every day, the birds, the deer, the wildlife, and the ministry. We've been doing masses, you know, 1 or 2 people in church. We really want to, we miss all of you, and we pray for you on a daily basis. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Great, so it's the springtime, it's a time of hope, and we can't wait till you're back. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, everyone.